This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Time Warner Cable. WBTV News Prime Time starts right now.
They can run, but they can't hide. Now on Primetime, 2 wild rides and with crashes and handcuffs. How Sky 3 helped the cops get their men. Plus, a convenience store clerk gets brave, wrestles the gun away from a would-be robber, and it is all caught on tape. But first on Primetime.
We have no answers, and we're just left stuck. And we want answers for ourselves and for the public also.
National security or financial gain. The family of a teenage stowaway says they'll sue the Charlotte airport, but how legit is their complaint? Good evening. Nice to have you here. I'm Maureen O'Boyle. In November, Delvante Tisdale was found dead in a neighborhood outside Boston. Investigators believe he fell from the sky after hiding inside a plane's wheel well. Now the lawsuit. Delvante's family telling us this isn't about money. It's about your security, and so no family should ever have to suffer like they are. But a lot of people, including many of you at home, many of our viewers, have other thoughts. Primetime's Jeff Atkinson is joining me now. And Jeff, what are people saying about this?
They're saying it's another example of greedy lawyers, Maureen. People have emailed us and have said, how can they be going after the airport and the airline when it's obvious Delvante Tisdale shouldn't have been there in the first place? Is this a legitimate case or another frivolous lawsuit we've seen so often? It's tonight's cover story.
Here in our studio. Thank you.
Delvante Tisdale's parents and the Florida attorney they hired this week appeared live on our 4 o'clock news this afternoon. They're suing, they say, to get answers.
We're still struggling because we don't have information, and we can't bring about closure because we don't know what happened.
But do they have a case for a lawsuit? If everything investigators in Massachusetts says is true, Tisdale got by security and was trespassing, breaking the law, when he apparently got inside the wheel well of a U.S. Airways plane. How can the family sue when Tisdale was apparently irresponsible? We asked Charlotte School of Law professor Bobby Jenkins.
The criminal act does not necessarily relieve the potential defendant of liability.
And couldn't one argue there was a breakdown in security that led to Tisdale's death?
What strikes me is, at a gut level, is that just shouldn't happen. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere. Somebody did not do something right.
But if it ends up going to trial, winning a case like this will be harder here than most places. North Carolina is one of only 3 states in the District of Columbia that still recognizes what's known as pure contributory negligence, a doctrine that says if a party who's injured in any way contributed to their own injuries and the jury finds it's true, then the plaintiff's not allowed to recover any damages. What could happen at this point is up in the air.
And I don't know that the law is that easy. Or I don't know that the conclusion is that easy.
In a case spanning hundreds of miles and 2 states and involving many different agencies not all working with each other, 2 months after Delvante Tisdale's death, no one's come forward to explain how it happened. Tisdale's family attorney says that's the reason they're suing.
You know, some are trying to spin this as, oh, this family's seeking money, oh, they're hiring a lawyer, greedy lawyers. No, sometimes you file a lawsuit to get answers. And so now we can propound discovery, and that's what we're preparing a lawsuit to do.
They say they're about getting answers, that it's a matter of public safety. If this case is settled out of court, we may never know the outcome, what actually happened, much less financial terms. We'll have to see if it's really about public safety or something else. Only time will tell what the real motive is.
So they filed it yet? Have they filed a suit?
They have not filed anything yet. We did some checking around the country, Maureen, and it appears that this is the first airplane stowaway case in a flight originating in the United States in 39 years.
Wow.
The last time was April 1972, and obviously after the stepped-up security from September 11th.
People have very strong opinions about that, as you can see on this Facebook page. My Facebook page is just fired up since we started talking about it, and we want to hear from you. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to keep our tabs on this.
Yes.
Thanks so much. A pair of wild police chases land 3 suspected burglars behind bars today. Both of these chases caught on tape by WBTV. Sky 3 zoomed in on this one as Highway Patrol chased down the alleged crooks on I-85. The whole thing started when a neighbor called to report some guys breaking into this house. From there, there to this. Police caught up with the suspects in this gold SUV, chased them for miles. A state trooper decided to put a stop to it and nudged his cruiser into the suspects. Within seconds, both suspects were out of that vehicle at gunpoint, and now they are in jail. The second chase starts after a break-in in Cornelius. The suspects took off in a car on 77 South before hopping on 485 in Huntersville. Their Grand Marquis got off in West Charlotte, cut through these neighborhoods on this wild chase. At one point, the passenger jumps out and runs. The driver, though, keeps going before ditching the car and also trying to escape there on foot. He didn't get far because Sky 3 was there following him, and we were letting police know where this guy was. Police arrested Aaron Savage. They put him in the Slammer. His passenger is still on the run tonight. If you'd like to see more of this exclusive video, both of these wild chases, we want you to visit WBTV.com. You'll find it there on the homepage. Check out the guy in the hood. He's a wannabe robber, but his stick-em-up doesn't go exactly as he had planned. The clerk fights back, tangles with the bad guy, and gets the gun. WBTV's Steve Onesorge on your side and on the story from Morganton.
33-year-old Edwin LaShawn Hood wouldn't talk to us or even show his face as cops led him away Thursday night.
What do you have to say about it?
But he's the guy they think robbed a store in Morganton this morning. This surveillance tape shows the crook coming in, then pointing a gun at the clerk and demanding money.
What did you think?
I'm not scared.
Vaishali Patel says she did what he asked and thought that would be it.
She did cooperate, and then it went to another level.
Instead of leaving, the crook stuck this gun in her side and pushed her towards the back of the store. At the same time, Daryl Ward pulled up to get some gas. As he looked in, the crook saw him and hesitated. That's when Vaishali struck back.
Right, I took a chance. I snapped the gun.
You can see the two fighting over the gun, and that caught Ward's attention.
And I heard her scream, and when she screamed, I looked in, and they were wrestling.
In seconds, Vaishali had taken the gun away. The crook ran out one door, she ran out the other, into the arms of Daryl Ward.
Saying, and all terrified. I was like, look, you're okay, he's gone.
The suspect was last seen running west on West Union Street. It turns out the gun was a BB gun, but Vaishali did not know that until later, long after she fought back. That's when the emotions and relief over surviving the incident started to kick in.
While it is not the kind of action that authorities recommend, they say every case, well, it's a judgment call. They're just glad everything worked out fine this time.
Tips led authorities to Hood, and he's charged in this robbery and another one in Burke County from 2 weeks ago. Police hope he stays behind bars. In Morganton, Steve Onesorge, WBTV, on your side.
Ooh, scary to watch that scuffle. Hood faces those 2 armed robbery charges and a second-degree kidnapping charge as well. Work begins on a permanent monument to Zara Baker. It is a concrete memorial in Caldwell County, not far from where the 10-year-old's dismembered body was found. The property owner doesn't want people to forget her. A concrete pad will be poured here and will be open for anyone who wants to stop by. So far, no one has been charged in connection with the death of Zara Baker. We were teasing last night that the word snow was back in our weather vocabulary, and not something a lot of us want to hear, Eric Thomas. It just melted the last batch.
Yeah, you're right, Maureen. We're just coming out of it. We had that high of 61 yesterday, but already temperatures on the way back down. Today's high temperature only 50 degrees and snow marching back toward the Carolinas. Here's what it looks like. Again, your headlines. Well, we have the winter weather advisory in effect for the mountains. Could see an inch or 2, maybe even 3 up around the ski slope elevations with that cold air moving back in again. And then there's a little bit of a snow watch for us even early next week, and we're talking about outside of the mountains. But there's that winter weather advisory for the overnight with that wall of snow coming our way. You might be fascinated to see what we expect that snow to do in the next 12 hours. But for now, if you have evening plans, you're fine. 43 through 9, 40 at 11 o'clock, so it'll be chilly. No surprise. It is January after all. Maureen, at most, maybe a stray sprinkle overnight. Now, coming up, as said, cold air coming back and perhaps snow as well. It's all part of your First Alert forecast.
Eric, thank you. Up next on Primetime, lawmakers with guns. In the aftermath of the shooting in Arizona, lots of North Carolina lawmakers say they'll take advantage of the right to carry. Plus, delightfully tacky yet unrefined and soon to be locally owned. Charlotte is about to be home base for Hooters. But before we take this break, it was 50 years ago today, as you heard on the CBS Evening News, that President John F. Kennedy took the oath of office. He called for a fresh start, ushered in a new era. His words still ring true today.
I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Whether you're doing the daily commute to and from work, going out with friends for a night on the town, or heading into the great outdoors to hit the trails, there's something for you at East Charlotte Nissan, the largest Nissan dealership in the Carolinas.
Stop by East Charlotte Nissan and check out the all-new 2011 Nissan Rogue. You can purchase the Rogue now and get 0% APR for 60, plus you get a $1,250 rebate.
East Charlotte Nissan, where relationships last. EastCharlotteNissan.com.
This is Prime Time on your side at 7 o'clock. Gabrielle Gifford's husband says he thinks his Congresswoman wife will make a full recovery in a matter of months. Mark Kelly says his wife is a fighter like nobody else that he knows, and that the doctors are planning to move her to a rehab facility in Houston tomorrow. The latest milestone was her being able to stand with a little bit of help. In the aftermath of the shooting in Tucson, 2 North Carolina lawmakers say they plan to arm themselves. A third says she may get a permit to carry as well. Republican Representative Renee Elmers from Dunn and Democratic Representative Heath Schuler from Waynesville, they both say they plan to carry guns while visiting their home districts. And Republican Representative Sue Myrick from Charlotte says she's considering getting a permit ever since that shooting in Arizona. But their Republican colleague in the Senate won't go armed. Senator Richard Burr in the area today speaking to students here at the Lake Norman Christian Academy in Huntersville. He told us weapons aren't the right response to what happened in Tucson. Instead, he's calling for a revamp of the nation's mental health plan.
Well, I've never been concerned about personal carry for myself, and I don't plan to do it now. I believe that what we need is a societal change.
Democrat Mel Watt from Charlotte also says he will not carry. Members of the Charlotte NAACP meeting right now, and the issue of boycotts bound to come up. This is video from their march earlier this week. Kojo Nantambu and other leaders are taking questions from members tonight. We have a crew there, and we will let you know exactly how things went coming up all new tonight at 11 o'clock. Still ahead on Prime Time, White House visitors get a surprise meet and greet with the First Lady, but not everyone gets starstruck. The bizarre question this hungry fella asks Mrs. Obama coming up. And right now, here's a look at what's coming up on WBTV and CBS on this Thursday night.